One word says it all. The SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Put together, it is a magical event at a magical venue, and over 900 racers have shown up, all going for the gold and an opportunity to kiss the bricks at this legendary venue. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's Daugherty Race Day here at the 58th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Great to have you with us. I'm Greg Creamer. Tom O'Gorman alongside Hayward Wagner down in the pit lane. Our coverage and broadcast today is presented by the fine folks at Mazda, and this is an iconic venue, and the class today is called B-Spec. And to paraphrase the legendary Mark Twain, the rumors of B-Spec's demise were greatly exaggerated. It is not only back, it is back with a vengeance. I think, had 16 cars last year, I think, at Road America. Flip the number. 61 cars have shown up here, Tom. This class is seriously back, and it has been putting on some unbelievable racing. And they're going to be chasing what is a really fun track here at Indianapolis. It is 2.6 miles, 14 corners. Time to take a look at our Mazda track map. And Tom, take us for a lap around this great track.
Yeah, Greg, it is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of space to play with here on this track for these small subcompact race cars. We start with a really wide, really long front straight, deceivingly long because of how large the grandstands are alongside it, but down into a braking zone at turn 1 and 2. This is definitely a big pinch point. The sight lines are also a challenge here at turn 1, but then we sweep through turns 3, 4, and 5, kind of a triple right-hander, a little bit of a checkup at turn 4, then the carousel at turn 6 into 6A onto the Holman straight, another very wide straight. We're going to see cars all the way out to the grass, maybe kicking up some dirt onto that straightaway as well. Then some quick S's at 7, 8, 9, and 10. Each one getting a little bit tighter as you go through that section there in Sector 2 before we come on to Sector 3. Up onto the banking just for a moment, and then through the final switchbacks at 12, 13, and 14.
You know, Mazda's investment into club racing goes beyond the track map presentation. If you race a Mazda, no matter the model or year, they support you through the Mazda Team Support Program. So sign up at MazdaMotorsports.com, and that's one reason why more Mazdas are road raced on any given weekend than any other car brand. It comes down to two things: a great car and great support. So huge thanks to Mazda. And now, down amongst our 61 cars getting ready to head out on track is Hayward Wagner. Hey, Hayward, beautiful afternoon. Beautiful field.
It's amazing, guys. You said 61 cars. The B-Spec community's goal was to come to Indy with 51 cars. They beat it by 10. These guys race together, they paddock together, they party together. A bunch of them have brought really cool liveries this year. You'll see our pole sitter, a tribute to the John Player Special. John Phillips, your pole sitter, it's the John Phillips Special. We've got all kinds of classic liveries on this grid. One car I do want to point out is our second car on the grid. This is Steve Intron. And back when we were all kids, Steve and I used to flag back at Road Atlanta 25 years ago. He has flagged over 30 runoffs. He's driven in 5. This is his first time qualifying on the front row here in B-Spec. A real crowd favorite here in the B-Spec community. Lots of years in whites, now in the driver's suit. And Greg, you know, when you spend a lot of time standing on a corner, you learn a thing or two.
Boy, don't you. That's where I got started flagging. It is a great school, best seat in the house. You're right on top of the cars, and you can see them come through. And all you have to do, join SCCA. It's, one payment. It's not that much money. You're a member. You can go out and play in the corners. Or if you're more into things techie, now you got tech and you got timing and scoring, there's a spot for you. If you don't have the wherewithal or the desire to drive, but you love racing and want to be a part of it, join the club. Get out on the corners and volunteer and have some fun with it. And there they are. You see them out there. And they're absolutely integral because race control at a road race cannot see the entire track. You're literally the eyes and ears of race control. You provide information to the driver. So, yeah, I'm going to be rooting for Intron. You just kind of have to. But it's tough not to root for the guys that will be lining up right behind him. Father and son. Father is a 10-time gold medalist in runoffs competition, and son is in his first ever runoff. And here's the key. Son is less than a hundredth of a second off of dad's times. So that's the Daughertys.
We're talking about Chris and David. Now,
Yep.
David is starting ahead of Chris, and if you want to talk about going to school, B-Spec is a heck of a school in itself, and Hayward put it perfectly. It is a community.
Yeah.
This is, you said, 16 cars at the runoffs about 6-7 years ago, and this group of people that were really invested in this class, they know the value of this class. I know the value of this class. It got me started into my professional racing career. These cars will teach you to be the best race car driver that you will ever be, and it's because they're not particularly good at anything. You have to drive them to their maximum abilities. They're not going to cover up any of your mistakes. They're not going to make you look like a hero if you're not a hero. So these drivers that are at the front are some of the best drivers in this paddock. I'll put money on that.
Yep.
And if you want to learn how to drive a fast race car, drive a slow race car first, because yes, these cars do turn some of the slower lap times at the runoffs, but they're going to put on a heck of a show. Now, a lot of these drivers are going through school just a little bit, because there's a lot of rookies in this runoff field. There's I think over half of the field is at their first runoffs or something close to that.
Absolutely, and these cars, you know, when you have a slower car, it's momentum, and it teaches you momentum, and these cars are absolutely amazing at that. Plus, they're a little boxy, so they draft well.
Yes.
And as you said, if you're out at the front in this class, you're a driver, but you can, you know, this is almost like V's in a way. I mean, you could be, you know, leading, and the next lap you're fifth sometimes. It churns that much. And I've always found this to be one of the most entertaining classes, you know, to call a race about, because you never know what's going to unfold here, and it's absolutely spectacular. We're going to show you the grid along the bottom. Find your favorite driver. It just take us too long to try and get through them all. I do want to call attention to a couple of guys. One, David Daugherty, along with his huge success. He is Super Sweep eligible, and that's a very, very special achievement. James Rogerson, for the Hawk Breakthrough performer, that's the most positions improved from Tuesday qualifying to Wednesday qualifying. James Rogerson, starting in 29th, made up 11 spots. That's a big gain, so a really good run for him. And the number 138 that you're going to see is Stephanie Anderson. It's a 2011 Mazda 2, the X Factor car. She got clobbered in the Tuesday qualifying session from behind, damage on that car, and she is back out. Stephanie actually raced that in Pro World Challenge competition a couple of times as well, so great to have her back out. And I have to tell the story. Chris Halderman, of course, who is X Factor, came out and looked at the car while it was parked on the side. It was right in front of my corner station, and the wrecker came out, or the tilt bed came out to load it on, and it's got, of course, the big hook to get on the tow strap. And Chris yelled at the guy, "Hey, accidentally hook it on that right rear bumper and pull that back for me, would you?" It's just great fun out there. But she recovered and did an absolutely superb job in qualifying. But the community reached out and helped, and that's part of this game. And you experienced it. You said it started in your pro. You won the championship in World Challenge, you know, launching yourself. These things are a blast to drive.
Yeah, they are a ton of fun, because you have to just drive them on the limit at all times.
Yes.
But like I said, it's all about that momentum. And one thing that we're going to be keeping an eye on this year, speaking of keeping momentum, is this class had a slight tire change. They're now on a spec Hankook racing tire, which is a much more affordable version of the racing tires that they used to race on, the Hoosiers. And they're a bit of a mystery. And part of that is we don't get to race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway any other time than the runoffs. So these drivers, for 19 laps of Indy, or 40 minutes, whichever comes first, they don't really know how long these Hankook tires are going to stay under the cars. They've actually found that some of the cars work them a little harder. Looking at our top Mazda 2 driver there, Kyle Keenan, he is the top qualifying Mazda 2, which tends to, at least according to the rumors in the paddock, be the easiest on the tires. The Minis, which are tending to be the faster cars on a single lap, may be a little harder on the tires.
Well, there you go. So fast early, maybe others will come along late and be able to usurp it. 61 cars out there. It's going to be a great field. And the JPS, I particularly love it, as Hayward said, JP, John Phillips. Well, he comes from Sealy, Texas, so there's the S. We'll give it that, JPS. That's how it happens. But looking forward to this one. It is going to be an absolutely cracker of a race, and they just put on a show. And looking forward to this. Again, as you said, 19 laps for 40 minutes. Pace car will just drive straight off right there. And at that point, Sealy and Intron up at the front, they are now pacing this field. And this is going to be a blast. 61 machines getting ready to go after it here in the chase for the gold in B-Spec. And the whole concept of B-Spec is very limited mods to the car to keep it really cheap and affordable as a place to start off in racing. And with 61 cars out there, you've pretty much got the message that it's successful. And we see cars out there that we've seen in pro competition as well, just running by the club driver nominated. Here we go, coming up to the green. We're green. Phillips just gets a nose ahead. Intron alongside, and you need friends right now. You need partners to give you a little bit of a push here. And look at that field, Tomo, heading down into one.
Good to see not a lot of lane changes. Everybody being nice and predictable so far, but we're just getting into the braking zone. We're still side by side for Phillips and Introne. Introne around the outside, but it's not going to work.
Nope, tried to make it stick, and I think Phillips just was able to run wide enough. A couple of guys wide, but we haven't seen any problems thus far. A little bit of dust being thrown up. A lot of room on this track, and it's Phillips. Introne, though, I think got shuffled back a little bit. Yeah, he's dropped back about 6 spots. He got freight trained, got caught on the outside.
He really did, and a big charge at the beginning for Rob Pekarczyk in the bright blue Honda Fit, but he's got problems behind him for Brandon Vivian in the Chevy Sonic. Those two side by side at turn 6, and they're going to start to lose touch with those top 2 if they don't tuck back in line.
Absolutely. Look at this, 2-3 abreast through the corners here. These cars can do that. And so up into that second spot, you were talking about it, just a great launch there. And then Pekarczyk right there as well, but there is that 0-0 of Daugherty. Boy, he's so experienced.
Sorry about that. The other car that really got freight trained is Chris Daugherty. He's nowhere to be seen. He's outside the top 10, I think. So his dad, David Daugherty, there in the 0-0, the dark green Mini, is glued to the back of our pole sitter, John Phillips. This looks awful familiar, doesn't it, from last year and years past. But Rob Pekarczyk up, and now Introne starts his charge back forward. He in the red Mini up the inside of Brandon Vivian.
Yeah, he's already made up 2 spots from where I spotted him previously here. So he is wasting no time here, and you just can't. You can't afford to waste time. And boy, he got the number 25 of Vivian to get pretty wide down there. And I thought maybe he had it made, but Vivian just straight lined to the apex, parked it, and got right back in front. But that really has slowed them both up, Tomo, and that group in front's going to be gapping him.
It sure has. And Kyle Keenan gave him a little bit of assistance off the corner, giving him a push up through turn 14. That is putting the gap back to Frank Schwartz. He's in the tan Mini Cooper, and he leads the way for the rest of the field, but it's a little bit of a breakaway at the top 2, and these 2 are going to be very cooperative. They know each other well, and they're going to want to break away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, and that's one of the things here. If you can get a break and you get somebody who will draft with you, and you don't try and pass and race, once you get that little gap, if you can break the guys behind you, then it's up to you, unless there's a caution or the like. And so they're really hoping that the guys behind them get scrappy. Here's your number 99, Pekarczyk, getting a really strong run right now, sitting there in that 3rd spot. And Introne did get around on Vivian, and Vivian under attack now from Keenan as well. Here's Introne taking him, looking to the inside of Pekarczyk. That was gentlemanly of Pekarczyk. He could have easily turned in a little bit more, but he realized, no, we don't want to do that. And they really need to just decide, let one of you get in front and then let's tuck, and you don't want to lose track of it. Here, a beautiful drone shot here, but look up front, see how big the margin is already.
About to be 3 wide. Frank Schwartz in that tan Mini coming up the inside of Brandon Vivian, and it's Kyle Keenan on the outside. They got to sort it out. Vivian takes the spot, but Schwartz picks up 1 position as well. And I think, thinking back to turn 6, Rob Pekarczyk in the blue Fit got a little bit complacent. He may not have been paying attention to how close Steve Intron was, just opened up that door, which is the preferred driving line on a qualifying lap, but in this race, it got him past.
I wonder if he just didn't realize. I mean, Intron had been so much farther back, after he got freight trained, he may just not have realized that he was already there and coming with a bit of a vengeance here. Here we go down into turn 12. This is proving to be one of the trickier corners here. You climb up onto the banking in 11, and as you drop down, of course, then it falls away, and it almost goes off camber, and it is really, really tough to get the car woed down there.
Especially when you're on that banking, you go to the brakes on a front-wheel drive car with not a lot of weight over that rear axle. It just starts to dance. These cars do have ABS for the most part, unless it's not functioning for some reason. So you get a little bit of assistance that way. But look at John Phillips is actually motoring away from David Daugherty with no help at all. Daugherty, even in the draft, can't keep up with him. He's flying.
And B-Spec, you say motoring away, that's 2 or 3 car lengths. It's all perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, careful. Speaking of Daugherty, though, Chris Daugherty Daugherty in the red Mini with the yellow numbers lunging up the inside of Matt Wolf. That's just out of frame now in the background. But this battle for what is essentially third until Steve Intron maybe starts to check out a bit is really hot between 4 different makes and models.
It's great, isn't it? Great parity in this class. And, as you said, the unknown, these tires on this track, and, in qualifying and practice, it's tough to get a 19-lap run in to really find out. So the last 5 laps of this race, it could be a real crapshoot.
That entry to turn 6 really got someone else. Brandon Vivian opened the door for Frank Schwartz, who goes through in the Mini Cooper, picks up another spot. Schwartz was up to 4th at one point in qualifying days, but slipped back. There's that dirt we talked about, but he keeps his foot in it, no problem.
Just flat tracking her a little bit through there. Great stuff. And then you see the 0-1 Chris Daugherty, that red Mini with those bright yellow numbers. Boy, these guys are duking it out. The 25 of Vivian, the 27 of Schwartz. And you'll see things. Oh, Daugherty has got around on Phillips. We didn't see that. We were watching this great battling unfolding. And the very crafty David Daugherty found a spot, was able to get through on Phillips. Now Phillips going to just try and stay put. And it may have been that Daugherty felt, I can go a little bit faster than I'm going here. And if Phillips will let me go and tuck in, then we can open that gap up a little bit. And you'll see how these guys doing the old hand signals and stuff at times, won't you?
Yeah, and they may even be on radio channels together. They are great friends and have worked together in the past, especially essentially the top 3 are teammates, including Steve Intron. But typically you wouldn't see them leapfrogging positions much. You would see more what's happening right here, where John Phillips tucks in right behind Daugherty and starts pushing, unless they're starting to maybe play a bit of games to get Steve Intron back up there, but that's a high-risk game.
Yeah, it is a high-risk game. Side by side, Schwartz down to the inside of the 99 of Pikarczyk. That brilliant blue machine got that done. Right behind him is a Vivian now. And then 09 Keenan. The problem is, all of that, you're side by side down that front straight, those 2 guys running line of start, easing away.
I'd rather have it this way, though. This is a ton of fun to watch. You saw the big shove on the back of Frank Schwartz from Rod Pikarczyk. The fit pushing the Mini off of turn 2. And Pikarczyk learned his lesson. Look at him close the door on the way into turn 6 there. He's not going to make that mistake twice.
Yeah, really snug that time, protecting. You just have to do that. What works for a no contested, just flying lap doesn't necessarily work in a pack of cars. Look at Phillips. Got a nice run, but instead of trying anything, just stays there. But it looks to me like Intron, he just set fast lap of the race, didn't he? He's coming.
He sure did. He's the first driver to drop into the 2 minutes and 3 second range. The other 2 leaders in the 2 minutes and 4, 2 minutes and 5 even for John Phillips, as he got passed by David Daugherty on the last lap. But they're now working themselves out, and Intron is coming quick. This guy is on fire here at working lap number 3.
Oh, and a big off here, the number 15 of Brian Metcalf. See what happened here. That's in a Mini. It's just a little different look Mini. And just got away from him and did the big tank slapper.
Oh, that's a short wheelbase car for you. It started to rotate on him and he overreacted to it, and the tank slapped back the other way. These cars are on racing slick tires and they have a lot of grip. So he might have just gotten away from him. And unfortunately, being stuck in the gravel right there, I don't think the safety team's going to be very willing to let these guys keep racing.
No, and so all these gaps that they've been working hard for would evaporate. And there it is, full course caution. And so that solved the issue for Intron. He's going to be right up with them. And then it should be, I think, the 27 of Schwartz would be 4th. Then Pikarczyk in the blue, number 99. And then behind him, the 25 of Vivian. So that's this is going to be fascinating to see. So right now, the top 4 cars are all Minis, and we'll see what they do on this restart.
Yeah, and there were no changes to the balance in this class from last year to this year, and it's pretty openly acknowledged that the Mini Cooper is the strong car to have in this category. It's the naturally aspirated version, or the Mini Coupe, as you see there. But there's pretty much acknowledged that that's the best car for this track, at least on raw pace. But again, this opens the conversation about tire longevity. This actually helps that for the Mini Cooper if it is a little hard on its front tires.
There is a look at the number 84, Fritz Wilke, the Frozen Rotors machine. And of course, we've got the Sunoco Hard Charger Award, and he started back in the pack just a little bit. He may be one of those guys that could be in line for that one as well. And I just wanted real quickly to say, you talked about the short wheelbase car. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in a short wheelbase car, you need quick hands, but you need hands that don't overreact. You need just little corrections, because if you don't, that's what we can see happen. The car just pivots.
Yeah, you need smooth hands to be fast, but quick hands if it goes wrong. So you need a little bit of both, really. And by short wheelbase, it basically means the car is as short as it is wide. And that can make a car very, very twitchy, which those Mini Coopers tend to be. They also have very fast steering racks. So when you do a small input on the steering wheel, the car reacts big to that.
Absolutely, and as we are under a full course caution, we have a little bit of a moment in terms of a break from racing. So we want you to learn a little bit more about some of the great partners that make the runoffs possible.
Why race? Because it's in our blood. A love of driving that pushes us as hard on the road as it does on the track. It's why we reinvented the Roadster and put a piece of it into every car we make. It's why we refine, rethink, and refine again. And it's why we'll always engineer to your heart's BPM, not simply an engine's RPM. Why race? Why indeed?
When the finish line calls, we answer. Hit the road with insurance protection from Hagerty, whether you drive a built racer, sports car, or exotic, and save an average of $264. Get a quote today at Hagerty.com.
Welcome to that magic realm. Between here and there, a no man's land, and everyone's land, where great expectations grow, and rewards are given to the swift, the perceptive, and the daring. Introducing the Mazda CX-30 Turbo with all-wheel drive. More power for your pursuit.
And a big thanks, of course, to Mazda. It is also a Hagerty race day here. We do want to say, we talked about that Sunoco Hard Charger Award. That's a really appreciated award. Somebody who maybe didn't get qualifying right, doesn't get into the medals, but puts together a great drive. And Sunoco is the official fuel of SCCA, so we love them supporting that one. We already talked about the Hawk breakthrough performer, and again, an award for somebody that may not quite have the pace to be in the medals, but to acknowledge some of the competitors. And they're, of course, the official brake partner of the SCCA, and they just do a great job of helping everybody out here. And well, I'll tell you what we're seeing up front here is really an interesting little chess game here. Daugherty, the multi-time medalist, now getting around the tire rack pole sitter up into the lead, and of course that tire rack pole sitter was John Phillips. And I'm just really intrigued to see what's going to happen here, because we got 4 Minis, then a Honda, then a Chevy, then a Mazda, and it's like a chess match here, because one, you've got to strategize to the end of the race, because the ability of these cars to draft and pass and all that, and if you can work together and brake like we saw in the early going, and 2 cars running together are faster than 1, 3 faster than 2. It's be interesting to see how this plays out.
It will, and it's also it's pretty high risk to make a move in a B-Spec car, because they don't have the power to make up for when you lose that momentum. So they don't recover very well if you get put offline, or if you go offline to make a move and it doesn't work out in your favor. So you have to be pretty strategic with when you pick and choose to make those moves. The best time to do it is at race starts and restarts. So we're going to see one of those restarts come up. We'll see if maybe one of the drivers who didn't get the start that they wanted try to make up for it, hopefully cleanly, into this the turn 1-2 section on that restart.
We've been talking about the medals that Daugherty has won. Well, let's not forget Kyle Keenan is a gold medalist. He won it in 14 at Laguna, and Riley Seller, the defending national champ. So they're there in this field. Right now, Riley is just outside of the top 10. Keenan right there been very racy in that 7th spot.
Yeah, Sawyer is the second red Mazda 2 at the bottom of the screen there with the Texas flag on the roof. And what you'll see is these drivers tend to change cars pretty regularly throughout the different years. So last year, Riley won in a Honda Fit. This year, he's in a Mazda 2. And because these cars are so affordable, you'll find fleets of them being built, and whatever car is the better car to have, the driver will end up in that car. So there are these teams with fleets of B-Spec cars, because you can just have a couple of them for the price of one other normal car. Not normal car, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. When you say, which one is best, it's horses for courses. And,
Yeah.
and you look at where's the runoffs going to be.
Exactly.
And you don't have to race in the runoffs the car you ran all season long. So if you look at your schedule is going to be something on a certain type of track that this car is going to be best, you'll run that all year. But if your car is not going to be great for the runoffs track, if you've got the wherewithal, you get the car that'll be good for that track. So, I mean, that's all part of the equation.
Exactly, and this is the only spec class with multi-make options. So
Yes.
every Mazda 2 is the same as the others, every Mini is the same as the others, but you can pick and choose which make you want, and each car has its own advantages with weight, gearing, handling, etc. So you kind of have that option to do, unlike Spec Miata, where it is what it is.
And we are back to green. It's this big a field. We're still watching some through 11, 12, and 13 as Daugherty leads them across the line. Phillips and Introne. And look at the break they made. And I'm not sure whether Schwartz was just caught napping a little bit, and Introne down to the inside of Phillips, floats wide. Phillips cuts back, but Introne is going to make that stick. So it's Daugherty, Introne, and Phillips. And the interesting thing to me is Schwartz, I don't know whether he just didn't go, what the issue was. Maybe he was in a wrong gear.
I don't know. The leader has the choice to accelerate off of turn 13 when they choose, so maybe the top 3 caught him sleeping. But what we have here at the front are 2 national champions sandwiching a newcomer to the class. He may not know exactly how the dynamic goes. He's willing to throw a grenade on this battle, which we just saw. But what that's done is allowed Frank Schwartz to kind of get back there. Look how close he is.
Wow, he has made up a huge amount of ground in a hurry here, and that's just how this class can churn in terms of what's happening. And he wasted no time. And right now, Pikarczyk and that blue 99 and Brandon Vivian are working together pretty well, too. And is that's Chris Daugherty. Right behind, I think that's Keenan, isn't it? So that yellow really bunched this field up a little bit. We'll see what's going to play out here. Oh, I love watching these guys so close. This turn 10, I've always called it one of my commitment meters here at Indy. If you're not up on that exit curb and early onto the exit curb, you're not fast enough through 10.
Yeah, track limits where, who, when, where. Exactly. We don't worry about that. You got to hop those curbs and be committed about it because you can really straighten out that corner. Steve Introne gets passed by John Phillips coming into turn number 12. That's going to slow him down even a little bit more. Yeah. Last time we were at Indy, David Daugherty ran away with it. He just checked out 1 by 12 seconds. These two battling back and forth like this is going to open that window just a little bit, but right now they're still safe. They're still within that drafting distance.
And here we go up through 14 and close enough. You can start to feel that toe. And right now, this top group all the way back to at least Pikarczyk, that's 5th. Man, 6th or 7th is covered by the proverbial blanket here. And here we go. Phillips looks down to the inside of Daugherty. And Daugherty, if he comes along, I'm guessing Dave isn't going to fight it too much. Just tuck in behind. Oh, but then Phillips pinched it a little bit. Daugherty just came slicing through, and here comes Introne again. But the problem is now Schwartz is right there in part of this group.
I'm surprised these drivers are racing so hard with so much time left in the race. It is, I think, a timed race at this point. 22 minutes left, and look at Pikarczyk is in this one. Brandon Vivian's not that far out in the Chevy Sonic in the background, but these guys know better than this, but they're putting on a heck of a show, so I'm fine with it.
Absolutely. It's absolutely a blast to watch and call. Is it maybe the best way to get out to the front? Maybe not, but as you said, okay, it's showtime.
Absolutely.
In B-Spec here. Look at how close that group is. Somebody running wide in the back and hanging on to it.
That's Charlie Valdez in one of the Mazda 2s, and it was kind of an awkward moment with Chris Daugherty, who's still been stuck behind Matt Wolf, having a great charge in his silver Mazda 2. They string out for the first time since the restart, I think, down that Holman Straight.
Yeah, Matt Wolf doing a great job, sitting in the 9th spot in his Mazda 2 out of Canton, Michigan. And his family is intricately involved in SCCA, so you just love to see that. SCCA itself, you talked about B-Spec being a family. The club is a family. Oh, and here's a look as Chris Daugherty gets down underneath Wolf. They are side by each through 11, climbing the bank and up into 12. Way down to the inside is Chris Daugherty, and Wolf tucks right back in. Wolf got a nice exit, though, out of 12. Let's see if he can do the over-under here, exiting 13. Or at least he's going to get a good toe, and that's a little bump draft right there.
Little
he
bump.
Said, all right, buddy, let's go. But talking about, as we say, B-Spec's a family, but SCCA, when you join the club, you've just become, your family grows by about 50,000.
Yeah, for sure. Whoa.
Ooh, look at this scrap going on. That's not very good family relations.
I think that was car number 98 starting things off, and then on back, I'm trying to find that driver. Christian Smith, Michael Fox, James Rogerson, Frisk Wilkie, all in this battle. There's a gaggle of them. Can't even say all their names fast enough, but this is the battle for 25th on the track.
That's what you love about a class like this, is no matter where you look, you're going to find somebody that's racing your pace, and with a group this size, you're going to find 6 or 7 of them, and it may be for 25th. You're racing as hard as it is possible for you to race, and you may finish back in the pack. That helmet comes off, you've got a monster grin.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you, one of the guys that's having a ball is Fritz Wilkie there in the 84, our top running Ford Fiesta, one of only a few in the field. Haven't seen a ton of success from this car, this make, I should say, since Sonoma when won B-Spec at the National Championships there, but the Honda Fit, the 112 coming around the outside, I think that's one of the Storms, or Mike Satinskog, who is part of the family with father-son team. Sorry, father-daughter team, I should say.
There is the 03. Look at it, starting to clip corners and the like here. Everybody giving it everything they possibly can. Charlie Valdez with the 37. Boy, he's on a charge, but then he runs wide, drops those lefts, kills the momentum, and here comes Chris Daugherty. But he's got to do it the long way around the outside. We'll see how that works here. Right now, this is that battle for the 8th, 9th positions. Down to the inside is Valdez. Now, let's see. Now, he floated enough speed that he was able to lead him at least through 13. And there you can see Chris almost drops his right side tires. No matter where you look, it's just fierce racing. That's what makes this so fun. And the thing is, you're in there, I mean, you're wheeling it. You're in a pack of 10 cars, racing for everything you've got. And it's really, in a racing cost budget, very, very reasonably priced.
Yeah, so affordable.
Yeah, that's the magic.
Absolutely. Just, look like Steve Intro maybe deep into turn 1, ran a little bit wide. I wonder if that allowed Frank Schwartz to go, and then chaos into turn 3.
Cars everywhere. Yeah, one of them just ended up over in pit lane. Well, we are getting down to it here. This we've got 18 minutes left in this one. Let's take a look at what may have unfolded, Tomo. In the background there.
Oh, I see what happened. There was a car actually trying to get to pit lane. Having a mechanical issue in that Chevy Sonic. I think I remember this car having some transmission issues during qualifying days, and then he was just stuck on the wrong side of the track, couldn't get to the pit lane without causing a little bit of chaos.
Back to our lead group, and the lead group of 4, the 4 minis have indeed gapped themselves by Pekarczyk in the blue Honda Fit, and the 25 of Vivian in the red and white Chevy Sonic behind them, who's got Keenan all over him, and they are going at it here at the front. This is the battle for the final podium spot.
Introne just straight lining turn 8 to get the position back. He's almost going to shut the door on Schwartz, but not quite. Frank Schwartz trying the over-under in the tan Mini with the blue wheels. We kind of have the sneeches going on, the 4 minis at the front that have it and the 4 non-minis behind that don't.
And the interesting thing, that little bit of battling they did, they were all over the back of Daugherty and Phillips. Not now. And that's the thing with the momentum class.
Going to end up in the clutches of Pekarczyk, Vivian, Keenan, and Wolf. There is that battle for 5th on back. The Fit, Sonic, and a pair of Mazda 2s hunting this pair of minis. At the front, though, familiar faces, Daugherty and Phillips, are starting to break away again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, even though Chris Daugherty, qualified 4th, getting a fast lap in a qualifying session is in a class like this is very different than racing. And he's raced this year. Obviously, he worked his way into the runoffs, but he hasn't raced against a field that is the best of the best in this class from across the country. This is right now, Chris Daugherty's going to school.
There's also a mental game to coming to the national champions. I know from when I was autocrossing my first solo national championships, I was a basket case, and it turned me into a basket case for the next 6 years that I went. And even though it's the same event that any other races, the same event as any other autocross, there's something about the gravity of it being a national championship that it can put you in a different headspace, and it's a challenge to overcome that.
Oh, absolutely. Look at this. Phillips is absolutely not letting Daugherty get away. As Daugherty in the Mini USA Babyface Fabrications and G-Lock machine. And then Phillips there in that absolutely stunningly graphic PRP and G-Lock entry. And that little bit of that gap is right there. And I think Phillips at this stage, we're in, coming in the final 15 minutes, I think Phillips is trying to decide, do I want to go now or not? But he looks in his mirrors and he sees the margin they've got back to Intron and Schwartz, and I think he's saying, maybe not yet. Let's just stay line of stern here. A couple more laps, then I'll see what I can do about Daugherty. And then this great scrap here continues between Pekarczyk and Vivian, Keenan in the white 09, and the silver entry of Matt Wolf. So we're watching. Quick story about Daugherty many years ago when he was early in his career in winning national championships. When the races were at Mid-Ohio, I like to come in a couple days early and flag because I get to see all the cars and I see what the cars are looking like and how they're handling in the track. And I happen to get the good fortune of flagging at the top of Madness there after the end of the back straight and that quick right up over the hill. And he was driving, I think it was a 200, a Nissan 200 SX back then. In qualifying, he came through, he was just floating the car in the back end, of course it was front drive, so the back end swinging around. And I literally heard him laughing as he went up through, put it on pole. And that's the joy you have in a race car. And that's the joy Intron's feeling right now as he is in this marvelous battle with Schwartz. And Schwartz gave him a run. But again, they were side by side down the straight, not drafting. And that means Daugherty and Phillips, that margin now is ballooned out to over 2 seconds from them back to this group.
It has, but I'll tell you, 14 minutes is still a long time in this race, and let's not forget, these guys have a little bit of worry about tire longevity, but what hasn't hurt is their pace.
Yes.
When they're not bickering amongst themselves, their pace is actually stronger than the rest of the field to the tune of a second or more. But every single time Intron and Schwartz have traded positions, they've lost a full second, all the way up to David Daugherty and John Phillips. We've seen it happen twice since the restart. Guess what the gap is? 2 seconds.
And I'll tell you, I'm just mightily impressed here with this, one, with this great drone shot, but what I was leading up to was the discipline of Phillips here. You know, it's got to be time. I gotta go.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope, just stay line of stern here, and just working each other. You see him through portions of the track. He's literally just shoving Daugherty along just a little bit, and he, as you said, have stretched that margin out. And it's getting to be a mano-a-mano moment here. And Intron now, he might be breaking clear of Schwartz if he can really lay down some laps. Then there's Pekarczyk, and then the battle between Vivian, Keenan, and Wolf has found some speed late in the going and is running these guys back down.
Pekarczyk has started to pull away from Vivian just a little bit, and I don't know if that's going to go away when we get back to the straight, but the fit is looking pretty good, and this is a former pro racing fit that I think Brian Price used to race in the, what was at the time, Pirelli World Challenge. Rewrapped into that ironically Goodyear livery with a spec Hankook tire on there. But then behind Kyle Keenan, pushing hard, drops a tire to keep up with Brandon Vivian. Matt Wolf keeping him honest as well. That's the pair of white and silver Mazda 2s.
I think PJ Kroenke, because the number 25, that was the number he ran in a Sonic with this team, and he won a championship in it. So, I mean, it's a very solid, well-sorted car. But look at this. Now that margin, look at that. It's up to over 3 seconds. As we have 12 minutes left, and big move here by Vivian down to the inside of Pekarczyk. Pekarczyk going to try and stay parked around the outside, and that gets Vivian, doesn't allow him to get to the apex there, slows them both up, and here comes Keenan up and underneath Pekarczyk, and he's going to get the inside into 4 here, and slips through. Beautiful job by Keenan, reading the traffic perfectly up front, knowing exactly what he needed to do. Now Pekarczyk is going to try and deal with it here. Keenan, that was a really savvy move in that Mazda 2.
Yeah, it was a great move, and it's a cool story about the livery. Hayward mentioned all the liveries at the beginning of the broadcast. Well, Kyle Keenan's is extra special. It's a reference to a GT light car, I believe, that was run by a kind of a guru to him, Gary Bachman, who unfortunately passed away recently. Used to come to the runoffs all the time, and that was the livery on his on his GT3, I'm sorry, Mazda RX-3. So they transferred that livery over to the Mazda 2 and keeping it in the family there. But doing it for Gary is Kyle Keenan, and moves up the position that lap.
It's a great homage to somebody. And yeah, I mean, had the pleasure of calling his races for many, many years. Sorry to hear that he has passed away. Daugherty running a little wide there. And now we got traffic, too.
And they were worried about those tires.
Yes.
Is that a chink in the armor? And David Daugherty's tires not getting the car turned for turn 12 as neatly as he had been. But I think it kind of confused John Phillips, actually, and he backed off.
He wasn't sure, yeah, because if he goes around and you're right behind him, you're going to be a part of it here. So Daugherty actually, as a result of a mistake, gains a little bit of breathing room here. So you can see the gaps now. Great battle for second, or for first. Great battle for third. Then a big gap now back to fifth. Pekarczyk, Vivian, Keenan, Wolf, that group here.
Say the best defense is a good offense, well, sometimes the best defense is to just be confusing. You make a mistake getting the guys away and not sure what he's doing, he's not going to pass you.
Just be erratic for a couple of laps and people will give you a little room here. I got to remember that.
Something has happened to Bob Pekarczyk. He dropped back behind these two. We're looking at now what is the battle between Vivian and Keenan for fifth. Keenan's looking strong. He shows the nose. Pekarczyk is behind both.
Yeah, Keenan down to the inside, or excuse me, around the outside right now. There's Pekarczyk, but look at this. Keenan was outside in here, but Vivian just staying parked, not allowing Keenan to get down to the apex. Now, can Keenan roll enough speed to be on the inside down into 6A? He's trying, eats a lot of curb. Thought there might have been a touch. Maybe not, but that's just how close it is. This is great stuff.
It is. A lot of the Mazda 2 drivers were feeling like their cars were good on the long run, easiest on the tires, and Keenan's car looks most alive right now. I think that was a good speculation. That's
a really good point. Yeah, it just seems to be working. It's pointing in well, everything he wants it to be doing here. See what he's running comparative lap time wise. Boy, these guys are giving it a great run here. It's still Daugherty over Phillips, Introne over Schwartz in those two battles. That run up through 10, 11, climb in the banking. Here's that tricky 12. Track falls away as you turn in. Everybody that time running nice, solid line to stern. And again, with this low horsepower car, you could just exit, use up all the exit at 13, and then just keep her pinned to the curb as you ramp around here. Very different line than you drive in something with a lot of horsepower to get through that sequence of corners. And here we go. Phillips all over Daugherty. It looks like Intron and Schwartz might clear that little bit of traffic here before they get to one. And then this scrap. Wolf's falling back a bit now. .5 minutes coming up on the mark here. This car's running just a little over 2-minute laps, so what, maybe this one and 3 more, I think. These guys have just driven this absolutely superbly in terms of teaming up, working well. But you know, come this last couple of laps, game on.
Yeah, it's still 7 minutes to go, so this is nowhere near over. And the fastest car on the track last time by was actually Steve Introne in the red Mini at the back of the shot. So if there's any moment of side-by-side between Daugherty or Phillips, Phillips loses that discipline you talked about.
Yep.
This is going to become a 4-car battle once again because Introne still has a little bit more life in him.
Yeah, he was 3/10 quicker than everybody else around him. Just rolling some great speed here. Here's that exit at 10. You know, the thing is, too, is Daugherty has so much experience in so many different cars, and he's really put a lot of his focus, obviously, into B-Spec. You never know what he's got left in his bag of tricks.
It is true, and he tends to hold his cards a little closer to his chest than you think, because he'll tell you everything, what you think is everything, but it's not actually everything. He's pretty smart about that. And but we did get a reminder from Hayward, like even talking to him on the grid, the only thing David could say is, "I'm worried about the tires. I'm worried about the tires."
Yeah, he always keeps a couple of extra sharp arrows in his quiver, that's for sure. But look at that run now. He got through 12 and 13. And actually gets a little bit of a margin. Now late in the going, that's going to change up. But here we go, big, wide off here. Is that our 98? No, it's the 05. That's a 5 or 6. 05, that is. And again, this just tells you how fierce this racing is everywhere around the track. Drew Strickland out of Baltimore in the Hankook G-Lock Mazda. These guys are just giving everything they can out there right now. Up and on to the banking. Here we go, and this is where it can get a little bit interesting because we've got some traffic here. 3 cars they're going to be coming up on. Boy, and they might catch them right as they get into turn 7 in the twisty section of the track, and one of the drivers there making a move, and if you get balked there, these two, Introne and Schwartz, they will be all over you in a second here. Nice job by the drivers that are getting lapped. Just opening the wheel up, letting these guys through, not impeding them much. And of course, a lot of that is down to the flaggers around this track. Those blue flags, letting those drivers that are coming up know, hey, you've got some faster traffic coming up behind you. Technically, folks, if you're wondering, the blue flag means check your mirrors. That's what it reads in the rule book. But oftentimes it's called the passing flag because that's generally what it's used.
Right, it's a reminder that there's a faster car approaching in the same way that a yellow flag is a reminder that there's something up in front happening. But we'll have to see if this lap time is actually a little slower for Steve Introne and Frank Schwartz because I think the interaction.
Full course yellow. Sorry, right as you were setting that up, we have a full course yellow. There's been an off somewhere, and not sure that we have it yet, but full course caution. So with 4 minutes to go, that could change things up here. And depending upon how long it takes to clean it up, you hate to have it finish under yellow when things were just starting to go. So finish your thought, just in case.
Well, I was going to say that I think the lap traffic might have been a little awkward for Introne and Schwartz, but now that's obviously out the window.
Yeah.
And the new problem is for John Phillips. If he had something in his back pocket, if we don't go back to green flag racing, he's not going to get a chance to play it.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, for Schwartz, sitting in that 4th spot, that lap car is now in between he and Keenan, so he's got a little bit of a buffer here. But there is Introne, there is Schwartz. You hate to see it if it does finish under caution, but obviously it's always about safety. And there you see the yellows being waved, and the cars, looks like there's somebody stuck in the gravel over there. You know, the problem is that's an impact zone. And if somebody gets there, somebody else could. If it's right on the edge of the track, and it looks like it is, obviously they are going to always err on the side of safety. So, boy.
Looks simply like one car might be stuck in the gravel like before, but we're racing against the clock. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. And the only way this thing goes back to green is if we go green next time by. So they're going to have to clean this thing up really, really fast, or David Daugherty is going to inherit a pretty easy win at the end of the day.
Yeah, there were 3 cars involved as the report. The 89 of Michael Oliver, the 84 of Fritz Wilkie running in the Ford, and haven't been able to determine who that 3rd car is just yet, but that's what the cleanup is. That's on, here's the word, checker, next time by. So that is tough. You hate to see a race like this, which has been fascinating with those 2 great battles for first and for the final podium spot, and then the group behind. But when the cleanup is going to take more than the time remaining in the race, it's just smart, because then it allows the EV crews to get out and not have race cars working around them even under caution. So it's a shame. But, you know, for Daugherty coming in here, he was tied in gold medals with Michael Lewis. And Lewis earlier in the day got a bronze, but Daugherty is going to get an 11th gold medal. And even though it finished under caution, I mean, Daugherty had driven just
He certainly earned putting himself there and earned the win. Yeah, gold's a little shinier than bronze, so that's going to feel pretty sweet. And actually, thinking back, the number of the cars that you just rattled off that were involved in this incident, whatever or however serious it may or may not be, that was the battle we were cutting back to a couple of times, and we saw how frantic it was. It was a great race, but it sounded like it ended up a little bit heartbreaking for a couple of those drivers.
Yep, battling hard. I mean, as I said, doesn't matter where in the track, these guys find a group that they're racing with, and they're racing as hard as they are up front. May not be quite as quick, but they're really going after it here. You saw the number 36 of Matthew Downing out of Canal, Winchester, Ohio, in the Ohio Valley region. A little bit of splitter damage on the front of the car, so he may have had himself a rough ride over a curb or a gravel trap at some point. But here he is, David Daugherty, who's been doing this a while. And we talk about his medals. This was his 24th start in the runoffs over the years. And that's a lot of experience. And that experience, you got to be in the right spot when things go awry. And he had his car in the lead. And here he comes. The yard of bricks awaits. And an 11th gold medal here at the runoffs for David Daugherty, with silver going to John Phillips, our tire rack pole sitter, and Steve Introne in third. And again, all of the corner workers around this track are going to be cheering a little extra hard for Introne, considering that's where he started, flagging, and then decided to get behind the wheel of a race car and brings home a bronze medal at the runoffs. That's a nice story.
It sure is. And Daugherty is going to join the elite group of people that have won 2 for 2 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the SCCA Runoffs. He won in 2017. Took him a little bit more work this year, I think, but he won it again and gets to be joined by 2 of his good friends and I think essentially teammates there on the podium.
Yeah, and even though he didn't finish quite where he qualified, you still have 2 Daughertys in the top 10 out of 61 cars. That's not a bad day for the Daugherty family.
Sure is. Chris definitely had a heck of a teacher. You can guarantee that with his dad, David. And then rounding out, we spent a lot of time watching that top 10 battle, especially the just outside battle with Vivian, Keenan, Pekarchik, and Wolf. Especially for Matt Wolf, staying glued to that battle. That's a heck of a drive for him in that number 7.
Absolutely it was. Then Valdez rounding out the 9th spot, and Chris Daugherty, as you said, 10th. And Valdez, he had dropped back. They had dropped back a little bit, and they ran, before this caution came out, a couple of really good laps, and they got back to right with the Wolf Pekarchik group. So they were running. There's a look at a 37 of Valdez. Put in a really solid drive.
Little Bill Elliott reference on the livery, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. The other car involved in that incident was James Rogerson, the number 175, and he was the one that he got that the Hawk Breakthrough Performance Award. So he was the 3rd car involved. So that, again, 3 cars involved. The cleanup was just going to take a little bit more time than was left in the race. And to help the EV crews be able to get out there and deal with that, they threw the checker a little bit early. But certainly everybody out there in the medals and everybody else around there, wherever they finished, they raced their hearts out, put on one heck of a show. And great fun always. B-Spec, and just love it. And I just love the livery on that car. And it tells you a lot of pride in this class. You have a car and you put in some mighty good looking graphics on the car. You love racing, you love this class.
The big time. And we talked about how they pulled it off the morphine drip from 6 years ago to go from 16 to 61 cars. Well, this year, once they knew they had 61 cars, they said, well, let's make it look like a heck of a field too. So they're so proud of this, and they just went on this big initiative. Let's get everyone liveries. And a bunch of them knocked it out of the park. Yeah.
You bet. Absolutely stellar. So here's a look at Intron, your bronze medalist. And like I said, this class is alive and well and thriving here. And it's great to see a field of this size. And I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of car you're driving. The pagoda in the background, the grandstands, you just were racing at Indianapolis, man. We talked about it on the podium. Helio Castroneves just joined the group of 4 this May in Indianapolis. Michael Schumacher, multi-time Formula One world champion, I think was on the top step of that podium 3 or 4 times. There's some pretty hallowed ground here.
It really is special, and we only get to come here every 5 years or so, at least if this trend continues. So those drivers had a chance to do it every year. These guys don't get that chance.
Well, that's a really good point. And that's why, we talked about it in 17. We had almost 1,000 entries. Here, 900 still showed up. So the runoffs combined with Indianapolis has just, proven to be a wonderful magic potion. And it's the addiction.
Yeah.
Wave the elixir and you come. It's kind of a thing like that, and they have, and it's been absolutely superb. And when that, yellow or not, checker comes out and you drive across the yard of bricks. that's a special moment.
Well, and there's a lot of the classes that would complete their 19 laps in closer to half of the 40-minute time allotment. These guys were going to get their full 40-minute time allotment, so the fact that they completed about 35, 34 minutes of it under green, they raced a lot longer than some of the other classes did, which means they have to be on for that much longer. They have to be smart for that much longer. David Daugherty won quite a while, had a long time to plan out this win.
Oh, that's the best news of all right there. You see the driver, I think that's Wilkie, climbing out, and it looked like that car maybe got up on its roof, but he climbs out under his own power. That's the best news of all. Everybody involved in that incident looks to be okay. And now that means we can focus fully on our medalists. And tell you what, Hayward, 11 of them in terms of gold around the neck of that guy.
David, I know that you were looking to be a happy dad at the end of this race, but how does an 11-time national champion sound as a consolation prize?
You know what? It's okay because I got to keep up with Mr. Heinrichs, and he keeps clicking them off too, so I got to keep up with him. So I'll take this one. It certainly didn't go as planned. I think I said something to you before the race that I planned on kind of sitting back, and I told John, we were all on the radios, and I was like, man, you got to go faster than 8 so we can get away from them, and he just let me by, and we were a little bit quicker with me out front. He had more straight, but I had to the checkered flag a little more power, so yeah.
How satisfying is it for you to see 61 B-Spec cars here?
Tell you what, it was amazing. We had a great start. Unfortunately, we had a little incident there at the end, but 61, we probably had 25 new drivers this weekend, and I'm proud.
Feels all right to have 60 of them in the mirror, right?
Absolutely, it does.
Congratulations. Enjoy the victory lap.
Thank you so much.
Yep, 60 in the mirror and his son in the top 10. That's not too bad. And I'll tell you what, these guys also, the B-Spec paddock, they know how to party.
Yeah, they had a great party on Tuesday night. They actually sang a little karaoke to I Will Survive and edited the lyrics a little bit for the B-Spec class and give it some love, but it's just a great group of guys.
It was. And going to be fun to hear this one. Our tire rack pole sitter, John Phillips, in the mirrors of Daugherty, and we heard, Hayward, that they were working together.
So, John, the word is there was some radio communication, there was some plans. Did this all come together exactly like you had it drawn up?
Perfectly, just as we had planned, except for the car ended up on its roof. Unfortunately, I was setting them up for the last lap. I pretty much had them covered, but that happened, and as all good plans go, no better person in the world to win. David Daugherty, now he's 11-time national champion. He's like a brother to me, and he built this car. So we knew exactly what we needed to do when we came to the runoffs this year.
Well, congratulations to you on another runoffs podium.
Thank you.
And guys, we're going to grab Steve Intron real quick. Steve, walk on up.
How you doing, man?
I know it's not the podium position you wanted, but how does it feel to be on a runoffs podium?
Hey, it's awesome to be on the runoffs podium, right? You and I, we grew up in SCCA families our whole lives. We dream about this stuff, man. We got here.
You promised me you'd cry. I promised you I'd pull you out of it if you did.
It's tough.
Here's what I want to know. What are your parents doing right now?
They're crying too.
Where are they right now?
They're at the racetrack in Thompson, and they're just proud, and they couldn't be here, unfortunately, but I know they're proud, and I'm proud to be here. It was a good damn race.
It was a great race. Congratulations to you.
Thanks for the flaggers, all the volunteers. You guys rock, okay? I'm a volunteer. The flaggers and all the rest of the volunteers in SCCA are the best. Here's for the small guys. Glad to be here.
Congratulations.
All right, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
A lot of passion right there. And, hey, the runoffs are huge. And if he said we come from an SCCA family, if you're in an SCCA family, the runoffs are your Indy 500. They're your Daytona 500. They're your Monaco. I mean, it's that important. And to be able to podium at the runoffs, it brings it out, man.
Yeah, you can feel the gravity of what he was saying, especially for him to be able to give his shout out to essentially his community of people within the SCCA that are not always thanked as much as they should be. And to be on Victory Circle and be able to give them that shout out makes it double special.
Here's a look at your top 10 there, and look at it, bookended by Daugherty. That's a nice feeling right there with Phillips and Introne completing the podium, Schwartz and Vivian completing the top 5, then Keenan, Pikarczyk, Wolf, Valdez, and Daugherty, and great battling all throughout there, and really, really was fun. And, you know, here's the thing about, you know, the Sports Car Club of America, you know, sports car, obviously, but club. Everybody that is, we're talking volunteer members of the club that come here. You know, the drivers, they're here for the week, they're, everything, but these volunteers, a lot of them are here for the week. They spend their own money for their hotel room and the like to be able to be a part of this. It is a club, and the club in this case is also family. And tell you what, let's go take a look at some highlights from this one. And once again, tire rack pole sitter John Phillips on the inside there in that beautiful JPS liveried machine. But right behind him was Dave Daugherty with Intron around the outside. They come in 3 abreast, and at that point it looked like Intron just might be able to get through. He couldn't. Then this big tank slapper here by that short wheelbase Mini, and just fine. Just gathered him up, got him out, and the battling commenced here. Intron coming back up, making a nice move, slipping through, but then you could tell that Phillips had speed, got right back up behind Daugherty, and the two of them, we talked about Atomo discipline, allowed them to open things up. And then we had some moments, and this was that incident that you can see your cars going, and there you see the 84, a couple of them actually getting up on the roof, everybody getting out. There you see the two drivers giving each other hugs, and at the checker under caution, Daugherty getting his 11th gold. Phillips, another medal as well, and he too has been a gold medalist. He adds the silver, and then of course Introne, you heard the emotion in that interview, bringing home the bronze. And there goes Daugherty, and a substantial number of his crew piled into the Mini here, heading out for a lap of honor. Been a treat. Glad to have you guys with us. Tomo, always great. And, hey, we're doing a great job down there in the pits and the grid as well. I'm Greg Creamer. That wraps up our coverage of the Run for the Gold in B-Spec here in the 58th running of SCCA's National Championship Runoffs. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Take care, everybody.
Welcome to that magic realm. Between here and there, a no man's land, and everyone's land. Where great expectations grow and rewards are given to the swift, the perceptive, and the daring. Introducing the Mazda CX-30 Turbo with all-wheel drive. More power for your pursuit.